Hi, this is Jim Pfaff. If you like the content that you see here, please like and subscribe to our channel, and be sure to follow us at politicsisn'tnice.com. You can also go to locategym.com. Thank you.
A little bit, but so back to how I got into radio. In college, I went to Indiana and Bloomington, and then I finished at IUPUI in Indianapolis. When I was in Indianapolis, I found out about this thing called Siri Radio Reading, Central Indiana Radio Reading.
Okay.
And they just, back then, no internet, hard to get audio of anything, definitely of newspapers. So I would read the newspapers and books, record that, and then they would play it out on this special broadcast channel.
Okay.
To blind folks.
Blind folks, yeah.
So my diction got,
right.
It really worked. I got to work on my diction, and I'm not perfect at it, even on the radio right now, but I do fits and starts. But it taught me a lot about that. The next thing that happened was that my passion for politics, and in college, getting involved on campus as well. Rush Limbaugh's coming out. Right. Just shortly after that. And then when I I came out in 1989. So he had started about 88. And then the 1990s, I would totally pay attention to what he was doing.
Right.
I mean, I didn't just listen to the show because I was interested in the content.
Yeah.
I was paying attention. How does he come in and out of breaks?
Oh, yeah.
How does he choose his topics? Kind of get a sense of that. How does he do? Where does he throw in the comedic stuff in the middle of it?
Yeah.
Different things like that. I paid deep attention to it. And so I got involved in campaigns. I'm writing commercials, radio commercials, and I'm thinking through how to compose that, all this stuff. And I just was like, man, if I ever got a chance. So a friend of mine who's a left-wing comedian from Indianapolis who wrote for Bob and Tom, that Bob and Tom program.
Yeah.
And we've remained good friends to this day. He's a really great guy. But he had a radio show in Indianapolis, and everyone went on with pseudonyms when they would call in, and I went in with a pseudonym.
That's awesome.
And he loved the people that were there, no matter their political affiliation. He let me in studio a few times with some other people with pseudonyms.
Right.
The bug hit me, and I just wanted to do it. So when I got opportunities to do it in Colorado, I was already hooked, totally stuck, and it was hard being in DC and not being able to be on radio. I loved it.
Yeah.
So that's why
I think the most challenging thing because it's so funny, is everybody thinks they can do a talk radio show.
Right.
And I think the most challenging thing about it is what people want and what people gravitate to is authenticity.
Yeah.
And I remember when I first started, I worry, especially on the journalism side of it.
Yeah.
Diction, grammar, all that stuff it was very important.
Yeah.
But as I got into talk radio, I really began to create my own style, which was just conversational.
Yeah.
To the point that grammar didn't really matter to me. Even, you have to project, and you have to enunciate so that people understand, but there also has to be an element of being a normal person, having a normal conversation with other normal people.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And that sort of authenticity, I think, is what anchors a host to an audience.
Yeah.
Is they have to get in their car and feel like, I need to hear what that person has to say, because that person is speaking for me. He's speaking like me. You know what I mean? And I think that's that's a hard thing for hosts sometimes to catch.
Yeah.
Is that ability to just be a normal person and react to things the way a normal person does. And when you do that, there's just something that connects you to the audience, because again, I have this concept of leadership that I refer to as advocate leadership. And there's a difference between being an advocate and a crusader, right? When you see talk show hosts go out in flames, generally what happened is they became a crusader.
Yeah.
They were no longer an advocate. The crusader is, I have this one issue that's so important to me. You must listen to me on it, and you must believe what I have to say about it. And then they get caught in this little tunnel, and there's a small group that's very loyal to them because they buy into that crusade.
Yeah, true.
But the rest of the people are like, you're not talking for me anymore, because I really don't care about the price of toilet paper in Mexico.
Right.
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 But an advocate is finding those buttons that everyone is out there pushing and tapping into those and then fighting for those. And that's like a fine line.
That's a difficult balance too,
It is.
because you want it to be consistent with what you're passionate about as well.
It has to be authentic. If it's not
That's
authentic,
right.
you're screwed.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
And
if you're on there telling people you believe something that you don't believe, because I've had people ask me that before. They're like, do you really believe what you say? I'm like, I wouldn't say it if I didn't believe it.
yeah.
Like, do I hyperbolize? Yes.
Yeah.
Do I exaggerate? Yes. Do I add things for entertainment value? Do I embellish stories sometimes? Sure.
Yeah.
But I really believe what I say. If I'm not on principle, man, you're going to know it.
Yeah,
in
exactly.
a second.
Exactly.
People are smart. People are way smarter than a lot of people give credit for.
Well, in fact, I'm totally convinced that the American electorate, they're slow to respond.
Mm-hmm.
But that's because they're living their lives.
Right.
Once they get a chance to take in the information, then they're on it.
Yeah.
And they make the changes. If Republicans are being idiots, they kick them out.
Right.
If Democrats are being idiots, they kick them out. And it's
Right.
happened both ways.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
I think that's one of the great things about this medium is that it gives you an opportunity to help people bring their own context into it. And that's why I like what you say about advocating.
Right.
Because even though it's your passion, you're advocating for them,
Right.
not for yourself.
Right.
And what's interesting is it's kind of like marriage in a way. It's like if you love on your spouse, if a husband loves on his wife, or a wife respects her husband, and they both are putting that effort into it,
Right.
that is totally selfless, it all works great.
Yeah.
In the end. If you don't, it messes everything up.
Yeah. I think there's a lesson in getting along with people in that. Like, if I meet some random person on the street, there's something that they believe that they're passionate about that I'm also passionate about and I believe in. No matter what our politics are, no matter what our background is, no matter what our race is. When you look at people and say, we're going to find whatever that common ground is and we can advocate for each other on that.
Yeah.
There's a lesson in getting along, because, there's a lot of things I'm passionate about and I believe in I never talked about on the radio.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Because I knew that wasn't going to connect with the audience.
Right.
So that doesn't mean I'm not being authentic and I'm not following my principles. It just means what I'm going to do is I'm going to find where I do connect with this group and I'm going to hit that.
Yeah.
Because that's how you get along with people.
Yeah.
And if you walk into a room full of liberals, there's still something there. Yeah. I got the Fur Baby Award or whatever it was in Louisville one year from the Humane Society for helping to get Romeo's Law passed in Kentucky, which was the first law to make it a felony to torture a dog or a cat. And I remember Governor Beshear, the original,
Mm-hmm.
had a signing ceremony that I was invited to, and they brought in Romeo, which the law's named after Romeo. He's a white lab that was caught on tape by a neighbor just being viciously tormented by his owner. He survived it, found a new home. We brought Romeo in and he signed the legislation. It's probably the only legislation in America that's signed by a dog paw. But again, here's me standing there with Governor Beshear. We're talking UK basketball and puppies.
Right.
Right. We disagree on everything else.
Yeah. Yeah.
But in that moment, it's the Humane Society giving a conservative talk show host an award for animal advocacy. Look, we connected on that, So there's I don't know. There's a lesson in that and how we can all get along, because there's something we're all going to advocate for that we agree with.
I think that's why, by the way, a lot of people from any political perspective, like Joe Rogan, he connects to all those people from different sides. He's really interested in what they have to say,
right? And
listening to it. Doesn't always agree. You have him. I just recently had Peter Schiff on.
Yeah, I heard that. I heard that episode.
And then he had Oliver Stone on.
That Peter Schiff episode scared the crap out of me. I was like, I go home and I'm like, honey, buy gold.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm just like, buy gold now.
By the way, it scares the crap out of you as a podcaster too.
Sure.
Because he was doing it remotely, talking over Joe. And it's like, Joe's like, wait a minute, Peter.
Yeah. I kept going, shut up, Peter. But still, I was still enthralled.
Yeah. And he was interested too. But
Stone episode was also.
It was an excellent interview. But see, that's the thing. These are two guys that are on entirely different aspects of the political spectrum. By the way, they probably meet on the civil libertarian aspect of things, but they're so different politically, and yet it's engaged. That's I'm trying to do that always on this podcast. And I just think that people are, and this is why, who'd have thought podcasting would be so big? I mean,
Right.
it's shortly going to supplant on-air radio.
I agree.
And
Absolutely agree.
and it's convenient. You don't have to figure out that, I got to get in the car, when so-and-so's on, or turn on the radio. It's right there for you. And then it's accessible with it's got a lot of different kinds of information because people are doing a lot of different types of things. And so I think that's really critical. It's going to be useful for society, but doing this the right way is going to help people really re-engage with what's going on around them. And it's why I wanted to get into it.